Hari Om, Shri GURUBHYONAMAHA. Gunatitamanam chidanandarupam chidabhasakam sarvagam vyanagamyam munidhyeyam akasharupam paresham parabrahmarupam ganesham bhajema. Team Param Vedanta extends a warm welcome to one and all for today's 65th session of Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. Friends, a question. What should we do to cross this ocean of samsara? All of us are actors in the drama designed by him, dolls as puppets, dancing and acting as he pulls the strings. The role you may have might be that of an officer, soldier, farmer, husband, wife, son, daughter, etc. Act well your part so that the drama is a success. Do everything with the spirit of dedication, as if in each moment you act, speak, and even feel in response to a command received from him. To get that mood of dedication, the Bhakti Sutras prescribe 9 paths. The easiest and the most practicable is a life lived in the constant remembrance of the Lord. An analogy for this is a bar of iron sinks in water, but beat it into a hollow vessel and it will float merrily and even carry some weight. So too, a man's mind sinks easily in the sea of senses. Beat it hollow, hammer it with the name of the Lord. It will float safely on a sea of troubles. In today's verses from 24 to 29, Lord Krishna is dealing with the topic of Sakāma Bhakti and Niṣkāma Bhakti. And we can look forward to understanding when the Lord says that he is the receiver of all yajnas, but they do not know me. What swarupam of the Lord is he referring to? When he says, those who worship Pitrus, reach Pitrus. Those who worship Devatas, reach Devatas. And only those who worship me, reach me. What does this really mean? Does our offering more flowers, copious amounts to God during puja result in higher merit and lesser flowers, lesser merit? Krishna has advocated Krishnarpana Bhava, offering everything to the Lord. Why? How can we be free of bondage resulting from karma? Let us look forward to answers to these questions and more from the team of Param Vedanta teachers today, Srimati Padma Chandrasekhar, Dr. Ahalya, Dr. Ashwini, Dr. Asha Nayak, and Dr. Vasumati, under the guidance of our revered Sri Dr. Timmappa Hegdesa, who will give us the introduction and also intersperse important aspects. Today, Srimati Indumati Venkat shall chant the divine Bhagavad Gita shlokas at the end. Do stay and join in the chanting. Please listen intently, crystallize the teachings of the Lord, and practice in life with firm conviction. Dr. Anupama shall present a recap of the previous session to help us understand today's verses better. Dr. Anupama, please.
Shri GURUBHYONAMAHA, verses 18 to 23, a recap. Bhakti as a means of liberation. The Ishta Devata of a Sakāma Eka Rupa Ishvara Bhakta blends with Vishwarupa Ishvara and ultimately Arupa Ishvara with the evolution of his Bhakti. At any stage, Krishna says, Te, meaning the Bhakta, Mam eva prapnuvanti, since Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. As Vishwarupa Ishvara, Krishna says he is everything because he is the Karanam of everything. This is why he is the Gati, Bharta, Sakshi, Prabhu, Nivasa, Sharanam, Suhrita, the Prabhavaha, Sthanam and Pralaya, meaning Srishti, Sthiti, Layakarana, the Nidhanam, meaning the repository of all, and Avyayam Bhijam, meaning the inexhaustible seed or the Maya Tattvam. Krishna says, Sat asat aham. I am the karya karana prapancha. As the sun, he energizes the world. Tapamyaham. A bhakta could worship the sun as Sat, the manifest or the physical solar orb, meaning the Murta or Karya Prapancha, or else as Asat, the unmanifest Karanam, in the form of either the Surya Devata, the Hiranya Garbha, which is the cosmic intelligence, or Ishvara. Very few people worship the sun as Brahman, the spark of divinity in the sun and everywhere. Based on one's motive, bhakti could be graded as manda or sakama bhakti. The goal here is arthakama. The highest goal here is heaven. The bhakta here seems to be trapped in religious materialism. This is preya marga. Here God is the means or sadhanam and worldly desires are the end or sadhyam. The disadvantages of sakama bhakti are it is deity specific, puja specific, unpredictable, and the results are finite. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. The highest goal of sakama bhakti is heaven. Sakama bhaktas seem to voluntarily sacrifice their right to moksha. Lacking nithya anitya vasthu viveka, they strive to reach heaven. Swargatim prarthayante. By practicing Vedic rituals to invoke devatas, Trividya, by drinking somaras as prasada, somapaha, and cleansing themselves of sins, putapaha, they reach Swargaloka and revel in celestial pleasures, divyan deva bhogan. Now, is heaven an eternal abode? Krishna says, Kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. When their punya balance is exhausted, they return only to perpetuate the cycle of karma, karmaphalam, janma. Again, karma, karmaphalam, janma. This could go on and on. This is the result of following the karma kanda of the Vedas. Tri dharmam anuprapanna. Niṣkāma bhakti, in contrast, seeks sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, shastra vichara, a guru, and moksha. This is the Shreya Marga or religious spirituality. For this bhakta, the world is the means or sadhanam and God is the end or sadhyam. This bhakti is not deity specific, not puja specific. The consequences are positive and the bhakta can exit the trap of janana marana. This Niṣkāma bhakta is mentally absorbed in God through all his worldly activities. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Now, once he's out of the triangular format, who will take care of his possessions, obligatory duties, relationships, and other transactions? Krishna says, Tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Why is Krishna partial to a jnani? Krishna, like everyone else, has to take care of himself. But he has said, jnani tu atma eva me matam and sacha mama priya. I see the jnani as a part of myself. And when I take care of him, I take care of myself. Means love versus end love. Love for the end, the goal, is superior to the love for the means of achieving it. But love for oneself is far, far superior to love for the goal, since love for the end is essentially for the upliftment of oneself. In the highest level of bhakti, God is neither the means nor the end. The bhakta discovers God to be himself. This is called uttama, abheda, para, or jnana bhakti. For this jnani, God is no longer a sadhyam, but siddha swarupa. Seeking moksha as a goal seems to be a habit with us. It should be discovered as one's own swarupam. Does every bhakta have to worship Krishna? Any form of God, when personified, becomes finite in nature. Form means finite. It is what we invoke that makes the difference. Remember, Mai eva sakalam jatam, Mai sarvam pratishtitam, Mai sarvam layam yati, Tad Brahma Advayam Aham Asmi. When we invoke the infinite in Krishna as Purnam Brahma, he is the infinite in which all finite devatas are just included. Worship of any devata therefore culminates in him. He receives their worship and blesses them through these devatas. Sakāma bhakti or Anya devata bhakti invokes the finite and receives the finite. Krishna says, when Sakāma bhaktas worship with faith, Shraddhaya Anvita bhajante, even their devotion is directed to me alone. Te api mam eva bhajante. They have Nithya, Anitya, Aviveka. They are ignorant about the fact, Aviti Purvakam, that all finite devatas are included in me, the infinite. Their sankalpa is directed to everything other than the binary format. Sakāma bhakti, therefore, only reveals ignorance of Niṣkāma bhakti. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anupama, for a very nice recap of the verses of the last class. And as you were presenting, it reminded me of a nice story between Sakāma and a Niṣkāma bhakta, which I will share during the course of this class a little later on. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om. As we are coming to the conclusion of another most wonderful Bhagavad Gita chapter, and each chapter as we study once again gives us much deeper insights. And I would like to share what are the deeper insights personally for me. And that comes more from the title of this chapter titled Raja Vidya. Krishna begins in a very glorious way, the way he introduces this topic by saying this is a royal knowledge. He not only says royal knowledge, he says Raja Guhya Yoga. This is a royal secret. Now, why is he insisting on the word secret? Whenever the word secret comes, it kindles our interest in it. Secondly, it is extremely difficult to keep a secret because everyone has someone close to him or to her, and there is a tendency to share that secret, especially when you say don't share it with anybody, you tendency to say that and share it with somebody. Now let us look more into this title about the importance of the secret. Now many teachers have told us why this topic that Shri Krishna is speaking is called as a secret. And why is it one of the greatest secrets? It has been interpreted one way as one of the reasons why this can be a secret is even if somebody tells you, we still do not understand. When Swami Chinmayananda, I have shared this before, but being so important, I will share it again. When Swami Chinmayananda broke the tradition of being able to share Brahma Vidya, not into confined groups of people who have into the path, but in general public, to large audiences, in languages which were other than the traditional medium of instruction, when a lot of traditional people objected. They said, you're sharing something very sacred. You're sharing something very profound. And isn't this something that you're doing is wrong? And being very humorous he told them, don't worry. I use megaphones and speak on a pulpit, but this will still remain a secret. Now, for those of us who are very sincere students, let us see, let this not be a secret for us. Let us see how we will get the essence of all these verses. Let us see how many times in the Bhagavad Gita, the word guhyatamam or this word secret comes. In the initial part of the 9th chapter, in the opening verse of the 9th chapter, Shri Krishna says, Idam tute guhyatamam. Uttamam Guhyam, the highest secret I'm going to share. That is the opening lines. That is the first time the word Guhyatamam comes in. In the next verse, Sri Krishna introduces two terms, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. For the second time, he tells it this is not an ordinary secret, but it is a royal secret. The third time it comes, and I want you to guess in which chapter this comes, and it goes like this. Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam maya anaga. Anaga, O Arjuna, I have revealed this greatest secret to you. Krita kritasya bharata. Once you have understood this and once you have internalized the secret, you will be krita kritasya. You will be ultimately fulfilled. Now we come to the 18th chapter. This is the fourth time where the word guhyataram comes in. Iti te jnanam akyatam guhyad guhyataram maya. The secret of all secrets. I have already shared it with you. Vimrishetad asheshena. And having internalized it, yatichasi tatakuru. Now you have the freedom to do whatever you wish, but I have shared to you the greatest secret. This is in verse 63. And finally, in verse 68, Sri Krishna says, I have shared the secret with you. And this is what I want you to do now. With supreme devotion, I want you to share this secret with my devotees. And then he gives you a promise. And the promise is those who will share this secret message of mine, this sacred message of mine, you will become one with me. This is the promise that Sri Krishna is doing. Also, that means even though it is a secret, he wants us to share the secret. He wants us to know the secret. He wants us to reveal the secret. With that background, let us look into various verses of this particular chapter itself and see where has Sri Krishna revealed the secret. Now that is why whenever you study a verse in great depth, now those of us students of Param Vedanta who are given an opportunity to present it and play a role as a teacher, most of the students are given 1 month time and one verse. And for 1 month, you are with that verse, meditating on that verse, and you will see that verse becomes one of the most important verses in the Gita because for you, the secret in that verse has been revealed. And then you will see that you will quote that verse. That is why it is so important to find opportunities to teach these verses to those who are receptive, because whenever you teach, you will get a deeper understanding. The secret in those verses become revealed to you. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. I'm not going into details in all these verses, but Sri Krishna has said, I pervade this whole world in an imperceptible manner. That means whatever I see and experience, I can feel Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is there not only in the world outside me, Sri Krishna is there in me also. So therefore, let me be using all my resources to be able to discover the Sri Krishna principle. Again, this Sri Krishna uses this word, Pashyame Yogam Aishwaram, see my glory. Now, this seems very egoistic. How can Sri Krishna tell us, see my glory? But the more you understand these verses, Sri Krishna is saying, see our own glory. The verses 4 to 10 reveal the higher nature, and all of us, that consciousness because of which we are able to listen, that consciousness because of which we are able to live in this body, that consciousness because of which we experience this whole world is the Sri Krishna principle. These are the verses that reveal those secrets to us. And Sri Krishna also says in verses that the whole problem of samsara is because we have not understood this particular message. Avajanantuma mudaha. So let us be wise. Towards the end of this chapter, he uses these words, Name bhakta pranashyati. That means my devotee, all of us, there is no decay, there is no decline, there is no death. That means there is something of the deathless in all of us, which Sri Krishna wants us to declare. Now we come to the concluding, the second last verse of the 15th chapter, where Sri Krishna makes a great statement. Personally, for me, this is a secret verse. He says, Yo mam eva asammodaha janati purushottama. Krishna says, that person who is able to discover who is this Uttama Purusha. Then he concludes in the concluding verse of the 15th chapter, Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam mayanaga. I have revealed this to you. And if you are able to get this, your life will be krita kritasya bharata. We are very fortunate to have the scriptures brought out to us by Swami Paramatmanandaji, a Sakshat Dakshina Murti. And he has given us two fundamental principles of Vedanta. And as we study the Bhagavad Gita, that means not only in the 9th chapter, in the preceding chapter and in the subsequent chapters, I want you to be able to pick up what Swamiji says are the fundamental laws of Vedanta. There are two fundamental laws, and Swamiji tells again and again, if these two fundamental laws are internalized, Vedanta becomes easy for you. The first fundamental law is, I, the real me, is something other than whatever I experience. Whatever I experience is not me, that I know about the world around me. This includes my body and mind. So the first Vedantic principle is, I am the Drik, I am the experiencer, and everything around me is the experience. The second fundamental law and mind-boggling is that I have all gunas, all attributes belong to the object of experience. I have no gunas. Let us see where in the Bhagavad Gita these verses are explained. In the third verse of the 13th chapter, Sri Krishna declares very clearly, Kshetragnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. In every experiencer, there is a kshetragnam, there is one who is the knower of the field. And he says, the one who is, or one, that principle because of which we are able to experience the world around me, Mam Vidhi, Sri Krishna declares in the third verse of the 13th chapter. These are the secret verses. And Sri Krishna again declares in the next line, Kshetra Kshetrajño Jnanam, that distinction between the experiencer and the experienced, Yat Jnanam, one who knows this distinction, that I am the experiencer and not the experienced. I always see myself as a higher order of reality compared to everything. In my opinion, that is the real knowledge. And of course, if you go into the 14th chapter, the 14th chapter is all about gunatraya to gunaatita. The second fundamental law comes that I have no gunas. I am nirguna. I have no attributes in time, therefore I am Nithya. I have no attributes in space, therefore I am Sarvagata. These are the secrets, but as I said, let us look into every verse until at one day they are able to discover Yo Mam Eva Asammodaha Janati Purushottama. With this background, let us look into each verse as they are explained. What is the secret that Sri Krishna is packed into each of these verses? Padma, verse 24 and 25, please.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyonamaha. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mama bhijananti tatvenaschavati te. Translation: I alone am the enjoyer and the Lord of all yajnas, but they do not know me in reality, therefore they fall. Lord Krishna, after talking about Sakāma Bhakti and Niṣkāma Bhakti, talks about the Ajnana Bhaktis. Sakāma Bhakti can give Anitya Phalam, impermanence, and Niṣkāma Bhakti can give Nitya Phalam, the eternal. Lord Krishna wants to reveal to us his real nature, Nirguna Ishvara Swarupam. He says, Sarvagatam Aham Asmi. He is all pervading. He is Avyaktam, has no attributes or no form. He is Akashavat Asanga Swarupaha. Like Akasha, he encompasses everything within himself without being sullied by it. He is in every Adhisthana Devata and in all living beings. In chapter 8, verse 4, Lord Krishna says, he is Adi Yajna, the Lord of all sacrifices. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta. As the self of the deities, I alone am the infinite Purna Ishvara, Sarva Yagnanam, of all the sacrifices, pujas, rituals enjoined by the Shruti and Vedas. Sarva Yagnanam Bhokta. Lord Krishna says, I am the Bhokta, enjoyer and receiver of all your sacrifices and prayers. Not only Bhokta, but also Prabhurevacha. I alone am the Supreme Lord who has the power to give karma phalam. It is by the virtue of the powers bestowed by the Supreme Lord to the finite Adhisthana Devatas. These Devatas possess the ability to grant or bless the devotees, but cannot liberate them from samsara, the cycle of birth and death. As these Devatas themselves are not liberated from samsara. Tuna abhijananti mama. The Sakāma bhaktas do not understand my true nature because they worship the finite Adhisthana Devatas while performing the yajnas. Tatvena, in reality, chavanti te, they fall. The Sakāma bhaktas fall spiritually, lose the opportunity for spiritual growth, and also fail to seek moksha. Continuing in the next verse, Yanti deva vrata devan, pitrun yanti pitruvrataha, bhutani yanti bhutejya, yanti madhyajino apimam. Translation: worshippers of God reach the gods, worshippers of ancestors reach the ancestors, worshippers of bhutas reach the bhutas, and my worshippers reach me. The first three quarters of the verse refer to the Sakāma bhaktas, and the last quarter refer to the Niṣkāma bhaktas. Deva vratan devan yanti. The Sakāma bhakta worship various Adhisthana devatas who have limited powers, like goddess Lakshmi for wealth, goddess Saraswati for various kinds of knowledge, the Navagrahas, etc. Devavrata Devan, worshipping of a particular god with a rata, resolution or motive, of course, performed with bhakti, reverence, and discipline, will get only various finite phalams in this janma, but not moksha. Pitruvrata Pitruyanti. Homage or ancestor worship is as old as humanity. Belief is found worldwide in communities like Chinese, Greeks, Romans, ancient Egyptians, Jews, Parsis, Buddhists, etc. Praying for the welfare of the departed souls. Ancestor worship and rituals arise out of obligation to repay gratitude and debt to parents or forefathers. Pitruvrata can be ancestors and other devatas, says Puranas, by performing to their ancestors as well as the devatas presiding over Pitruloka. They invoke the blessings of their ancestors and also go to Pitruloka, but do not achieve moksha and then return to samsara. Bhutani yanti bhutejya. Worshippers of bhutas like Vinayaka, Shakti devatas, etc. are by the Sakāma bhaktis and again do not get moksha. Swami Paramarthanandaji says, if one is with the tamasic deity, one will attain tamasic goals and rajasic goals by worshipping rajasic devatas. Madhyajin mama ant. Lord Krishna says, the Niṣkāma bhaktas who worship me, the Purna Ishvara, will get Purnatvam moksha. Lord Krishna is indirectly advises the Ajnani bhaktas to gradually graduate from Sakāma bhakti to Niṣkāma bhakti. Also, he wants us to seek moksha, achieve Jivan Mukti or Sadhya Mukti in this world, here and now. Gist of the verse is, Lord Krishna says, Sakāma bhakti will get Parichina phalam, finite phalam, and Niṣkāma bhakti will get Aparichina phalam, infinite phalam. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Padma, for a nice explanation of these two verses. And as I said already, the real secret will come for a person who has done all the efforts to understand. And however much it is taught to you by somebody else, the secret, it will remain a secret. And I'm sure for Padma and for those of us who have made an effort to decipher this word, of course, with the help of the gurus and the interpretation of Adi Shankara, especially where you concluded by talking about the difference between Sakāma and Niṣkāma, and I will share that particular story of a certain sadhu saint who was living on the top of a remote hill, and one early morning a certain devotee climbed the hill and came all the way to see the sadhu and saint. The saint was in a very good mood, and seeing the devotee coming uphill, walks towards him and very surprisingly falls at his feet. And the devotee was a grahastha, and he said, "Maharaj, what are you doing? I'm supposed to fall at your feet and you're falling at my feet." And he says, "You know something, your renunciation is far greater than my renunciation." The man did not understand. "See, you have given up the whole world. You have dedicated your life to God and for spiritual studies." So the great saint explains, "See, I have given up the finite for the infinite, but you have given up the infinite for the finite. Your renunciation is far more greater, and that is why I'm doing namaskara to you." Please meditate on these verses. And these are the two verses that Sri Krishna is trying to explain, that you may pray to any form of the Lord, but it does not matter. This is what is called the universality of worship. You may pray in the form of any god. It may not even be a Hindu god, but Sri Krishna says, but if you do it with bhakti, I am the one who receives all your prayers. This verse talks about the universality of worship. It does not matter to what form that you are praying whatsoever. And the next verse says, "See, if you seek finite things, you will get finite only. When you have the opportunity of getting the infinite, why look for the finite?" The next verse will be explained to us by Dr. Ahalya. Over to you, Dr. Ahalya.
Namaste. Hari Om. Patram pushpam palam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. This is an often heard and quoted verse when we talk of bhakti. We have all grown up listening to stories on this school of thought. When we do any activity, offer anything to him with intense and selfless devotion, it is said the Lord accepts it. Rukmini places a tulasi dala and outweighs the weight of Krishna in the Tulabhara Prakarana. Satyabhama put all her gold and jewelry and still could not do anything. And that is the power of humility and bhakti that Rukmini demonstrated. We've heard the story of Bedara Kannappa, who placed his feet on the Shivalinga to mark the exact place where he needed to fix the second eye. We have heard of Shabari, of Andal, Mirabai, Lalleshwari, Akka Mahadevi, and many other names that stand out in the Bhakti tradition. When many of us go to the temple, it is customary to carry flowers and fruits. And who does that belong to? Ile nimmadana, bele nimmadana. The earth is yours and the crop is yours. Then what am I offering to you? This is explained in the verse in the next slide. Patram pushpam palam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. The word meaning goes like the flower, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, toyam, water, yaha, who, to me, bhaktya, with devotion, prayachati, whoever offers, that, aham, I, bhakti upahritam, offered with devotion, ashnami, I partake that, prayatatmanaha, one in pure consciousness. A Niṣkāma bhakta who seeks nothing but God as a result of his puja can offer anything, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water. But what's more important here is bhaktya prayachati, with unconditional devotion. Niṣkāma bhaktya prayachati. A mumukshu bhakta has no desire for finite goals, and when he offers anything, the Lord says he accepts them all. The medium for offering bhakti is immaterial. All that he wants through the medium is pure love. As it is said in the famous Hindi dialogue, तोहफा देने वाले की नीयत देखी जाती है, तोहफे की कीमत नहीं. Namaste.
Thank you, Dr. Ahalya, for a nice explanation of a very, very popular verse. And you will see these verses are some of the most beautiful verses of the whole Bhakti literature and so often quoted. Patram pushpam palam toyam. It does not matter what you give, but with what bhavana is what you give. And what I receive is, because ultimately the whole world belongs to the Lord. It is you're taking flower from the Lord's garden and offering to him. But what the Lord really receives is the way with what bhakti that you offer it to him. The next verse will be explained to us by Dr. Ashwini. Over to you, Dr. Ashwini.
Om Shri Gurubhyonamaha. Lord Krishna in the previous verse talks about objective offering, where he says he would accept anything which is offered to him with pure-minded devotion, be it a leaf or a flower or a fruit or even water. In this verse, Lord Krishna moves on and talks about subjective offering. When a sadhaka believes that the God is not confined just to the form of an idol, Ekarupa Ishvara, but the very world is a manifestation of the God, Vishwarupa Ishvara, such a sadhaka is one step closer to understanding Arupa Ishvara. This Arupa Ishvara is nothing but the Nirguna Sat Chit Ananda Atma, who is nothing but the very self. So when a person believes that the God is within and it's the very self, what can be offered to that Lord? He neither can light a candle nor break a coconut as an offering to that supreme pure state of consciousness. If one believes that the flame of existence is within, Lord Krishna says there are numerous things one can offer. It is because of sentience of Atma that the entire body, mind, and the world is enlivened. It is because of this enlivening principle that all activities are happening. Then it is simple that we return back all of our experiences and activities with a thanks to the Arupa Ishvara as an offering. This is the subjective offering of converting all our karmas and experiences as yajna, which is Ishvara Arpana Karma Yoga. Now moving on to the verse, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Yat karoshi, whatever we all do in the world using our karmendriyas and jnanendriyas, all activities, working, sleeping, seeing, listening, all are his grace. Let us just offer it back. Yadashnasi, whatever we eat, whatever we consume, using any organs of perceptions, let us acknowledge that all are his blessings. Let us offer them back in our thoughts. Yajjuhoshi, whatever rituals we perform, be it religious or not, whatever responses that we are giving to the world outside, all transactions, let us just offer it to him. Dadasi yat, whatever we have got more than what we need, if we find someone who needs it, let's just share it with them. This is aparigraha, one of the niyamas or do's that scriptures and Krishna prescribes. Yet tapasyasi, whatever field in which we are constantly putting forth our effort in order to accomplish our goals, be it in material world or spiritual, it's tapas. Let's just offer this tapas to God. Tat kurushva, all that activities we do, madarpana, do it with a thought of offering to me. That thought where we think, oh Lord, all these activities are springing from you, are all thy glory. Without thee, I can do nothing. All these are thy activities and not mine. On surrendering our ego and our selfish desires, the thought of God can be easily accessed. And it is with this thought of God only one can convert all the karma as karma yoga, and this niskāma karma is subjective offering. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwini, for another nice explanation. Yat karoshi, yadasnashi, yadduhoshi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurusva madarpanam. Krishna is now saying it does not matter if you do not have anything to offer. What matters is whatever you do, whatever you need to do, can you do that as an offering to me? Now here you will see where karma yoga and bhakti yoga become, there is no difference here. Now karma yoga becomes imbued with bhakti. Can you think of karma yoga without bhakti? Because karma involves Ishvara Arpana Bhava and Prasada Bhava. The next verse will be explained to us by Dr. Asha Naik. Over to you, Dr. Asha.
Om GURUBHYONAMAHA. Jai Gurudev. In 9 chapters, so far we have learned Brahma Swarupa. After knowing that, we develop desire for it, which may be spiritual or material and can be understood by its motive only. The desire which gives purity and jnanam, we call it a Niṣkāma bhakti, mumuksha bhakti. This has been explained from verse 20 to 29. Verse 28 goes like this. Shubha shubha phalairevam mokshase karma bandhanai sanyasa yoga yuktatma vimukto mam upaishashi. Word meaning is Shubha shubha phalai. Shubha is a shuddh, is expected of karma and causes punya. Ashubha is ashuddha, which is not expected and causes papa. Phala is result. Sanyasa yogi mukta atma. The one who is following sanyasa and yoga is yukta atma, meaning Niṣkāma bhakta, karma yogi. Sanyasa means renounced. Yoga here is karmi or karma yogi, who is able to renounce his materialistic desires and use puja for his inner growth. Karma bandhana vimukto, free from all attachment, separated freely, detached from karma, bond. Bond here is papa and punya. Moksha se, once you will be free from bond, bandhana, you will reach moksha. Mam upashyesi, will reach me, merger into me, come into me. Second slide, sir. Punyam. Punyam is, please understand, when you do any puja or any karma, you get punyam. There are two types, spiritual and material. Next slide, sir. Material punyam is all comforts in life, all good things in life, like lots of money, comfortable good house, 24 hours water, all modern gadgets. You can go to Swarga with material punyam. Next slide. Spiritual punyam. It means spiritual environment. You may be born in a rich country with a rich environment. So you don't need to spend time to earn money and your grahastha duties. You get lot of time for spirituality. Acharya and Shastra is available. But in case you are not in rich family, you will get spiritual oriented parents, and which will give good sanskara from childhood. You meet gurus and acharya because of that. You are in contact with Shastra. This will, you will have a jnana prapti. Next slide, sir. Shubha shubhai phalai. Now we have learned how we get punyam, and there are two types. Of course, you can get only one because both are different and not possible. Niṣkāma bhakta, his karma or puja or service will get converted into spiritual punyam because he has a niskāma intent and he is not interested in materialistic things. Therefore, he is renounced. He is free from materialistic papa, and this niskāma bhakta transcends, goes beyond papa and punya. So his shubha raiva moksha se, while doing here niskāma bhakta still will get and if he violates rule, saying Vishnu Sahasranama pronunciation is bad, still it will not affect, because God will correct it and listen. But Sakāma Bhakta, it does not happen, because he is interested and his intent is materialistic desire. In Viveka Chudamani, it is said, Upanishada, to get Manusya Janma is very rare, and Niṣkāma Bhakti, that is desire for moksha, is very, very rare, which is called Mumukshata. Congratulations, we all are Mumukshatas now. Sanyasa Yoga Yuktatma. What does it mean? Sanyasa means renunciation. How do you say Karma Yogi is associated with renunciation? He is very much in the world and very much doing karma. Is said to be endowed with renunciation because he is able to renounce his materialistic desire and can use puja for inner growth. And therefore, karma plus yoga makes him sannyasi without kashaya vastram. Then why is he called yogi? Yoga here is action. So he is associated with action, and at the same time, he is not associated with materialist desire. And therefore, he is called sanyasa yoga yuktatma. He is interested in inner growth only. Next slide, sir. Karma bandhanani vimukto. He is free from all attachment, separated freely from karma bandhana. Bandhanani is bonds. Bond here is papa and punya. We mistake that bond is only papa, but no, we are bonded by punya also. That's why punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam cycle. That is why Upanishada, it is said, tata vidvan punya pape vidya. If you say moksha, that is beyond papa and punyam of karma. Karma bandhanani means bond of karma in the form of shubha, ashubha. He transcends, vimukto, free. Next slide, sir. Mamu pashyasi. Having liberated, he merges into me. There is no physical merger because Bhagavan is never away from us. We are not away from Lord because dropping and wrong notion of dropping of conception is aikyam. Next slide, sir. There is no other aikyam. How do you do this? Only by knowledge. In moment, I get the knowledge and the wrong thought of God is away from me. God, if God is, I come to know God is close. In fact, God is very close, not closest, any close. Aham Brahmasmi. Tena meva tvam eva tat tvam asi. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Asha Naik, for a detailed explanation of a very important verse, talking about Guhyatamam. Now, these are the verses which have a lot of secret within it. And as you look into these verses, especially that word sanyasa yoga yuktatma, that person who has sanyasa yoga, that means yoga here means karma, who does karma with a sense of renunciation. This reminds me very much of verse 50 of the second chapter, which says, Buddhi yukto jahatiha ube shukrute dushkrute. That means if you are anchored with this sanyasa yoga yuktatma, if you are working anchored from your higher self, now you know that you are Purnatvam, you are already fulfilled. You are not looking for punya or papa, and therefore you are vimukta, you are free from karma bandhanani. And that is what paves us for moksha. That means you will see how karma and jnanam can be blended in these particular verses. The last verse for us today's class will be explained by Dr. Vasumati. Over to you, Dr. Vasumati.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The verse goes like this. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Tatparya, I am the same towards all beings. There is no one hateful to me nor dear to me. However, those who worship me with devotion are in me and I am also in them. Next slide, sir. In the previous verse, Lord Krishna said, Niṣkāma bhakta will merge in me, by which Krishna implies that the Sakāma bhakta will not merge in me. Therefore, a doubt can come whether Bhagavan is partial. Some bhaktas he keeps safe distance. Isn't this partiality? Some bhaktas he takes to himself, merges, embraces. How come some people get liberation while many people do not get liberation? Therefore, Krishna clarifies, I am not the one who decides whether you should get moksha or not. The problem is not with my readiness. I am ready to give moksha to anyone at any time. But the problem is most people do not want. They are not really interested. Krishna here says, Sarva Bhuteshu Aham Samaha. I am the same with regard to every being. What does that mean? I am not partial to anyone. I am not going to give extra blessing to someone and less blessings to someone else. Next slide, sir. Shankara says in the Saundarya Lahari, verse 57, the moonlight falls everywhere equally, whether it's in a forest or as a palace. Here Shankaracharya, calling himself as a miserable self, prays for the grace of the goddess and quickly adds that bestowing grace involves no loss to the thee, comparing it to the rays of the moon that fall alike on a palace and on wilderness. Next slide, sir. Therefore, Krishna says, my grace is equal for all. And in fact, I cannot give more to someone. I cannot even withdraw. Just as sunlight is natural, sun cannot withdraw or give. Similarly, grace of the Lord is equal to all. Then where is the difference? How much are we willing to tap? Therefore, our effort will determine the amount of grace that I am going to tap. So grace is already included in the effort. When you are building a house, you are building the walls, and within the wall space is available. Our primary interest is in the inside space rather than the wall. But we need to work on building the wall in order to get the enclosed space. Similarly, Ishvara Krupa need not be separately invited. When we put forth our sincere efforts, the grace is automatically included. Next slide, sir. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi has said about grace, the grace of the Guru, God, is like an ocean. If one comes with a cup, he will only get a cup full. It is no use complaining of the niggardliness of the ocean. The bigger the vessel, the more one is able to carry. It is entirely up to oneself. Next slide, sir. Therefore, Krishna says, my grace is uniformly available to all. Mama dvesha nasti. There is no one hateful to me, no one whom I hate. Then what about the favorite? Na priyaha. There is no favorite also. No one is more dear. Everyone is the same. If everyone is the same, how come some people only get liberation and some do not get? Krishna says the difference is not caused by me. The difference is caused by the choice of the bhakta. And that is what we say, moksha is determined by your will and not God's grace, because God's grace is already available to all. So we need to work for that. The only differentiating factor happens to be, is our will ready to choose Lord as the goal? Therefore, Krishna says, Yemam bhaktya bhajanti. So those vivekis, those sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikaris who seek me as the goal. In the 8th chapter, it is said, God can be used as a means for worldly goals, or God can be used as an end in itself. The one for whom God is the end is called Niṣkāma bhakta mumukshu bhakti. Maite, they are already existing in me. Teshu chapi aham, I am existing in them, which means both of us are one and the same. So we are never separate. They discover the fact that there is no distance at all. Moksha is something attained through one's choice. Moksha is Purushartha. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vasumati. That was a very nice and a spirited explanation of a very important aspect about accessing grace. In order to achieve success in the spiritual world or in the material world, two things are important. One is prayatna. We have to make our effort. Our effort can take us only up to a certain extent. And the second shatkam, starting from the 7th chapter onwards up to the 12th chapter, talk of importance of being able to access grace, because it is only through these two things, through our prayatnam and through prarthana, where you will be able to access grace, that you will be able to succeed both spiritually and materially. Shri Krishna very clearly says that, grace is available for everybody. The Guru's grace is available equally to all. The God's grace is available equally to all. The Shastra grace is available equally to all. So what do we need to do? There is one grace that we need to work on, and that is Atma Kripa. Atma Kripa means I am okay. I'm not just okay, but I am so blessed. I'm so blessed to get acharyas. I'm so blessed to be able to be exposed to this learning. And therefore, the more I consider myself as okay, the more I stop comparing myself, because whenever you compare, you see inequality. But let us, whenever you feel I'm so blessed, that is what is called Atma Kripa. And when you have Atma Kripa, the last set of verses talk mainly about Atma Kripa. It does not matter if I have done wrong in the past. But what matters is that now that I have made a shift, Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. The moment I have made a shift from the past where I have done things which are wrong, now I suddenly become a Dharmatma. And I will be able to attain the Lord because now my direction has changed. And finally, this verse, the concluding verse of the 9th chapter, which again comes as a concluding message in the 18th chapter, almost word for word. One of the verses that are worth remembering and meditating on. Manmana bhava madbhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mam eva ishyasi yuktatma atman matparayanaha ayanam. Let me be your goal. Let be a Niṣkāma bhakta. And if you have my goal and if you do these 5 aspects, you will attain to me. With that, we have concluded today's class. We will listen to the verses chanted by Indumati. Over to you, Indu.
Shri GURUBHYONAMAHA. Om Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tatvena tascha vantite yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitruvratah bhutani yanti bhutejyah yanti madhyajinopi mam patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah yashkaroshi yadashnasi yajjuhoshi dadasi yat yattapasyasi kaunteya tatkurashva madarpanam shubha-shubha-palairevam mokshase karma bandhanai sanyasa yoga yuktatma vimukto mamupaishyasi samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyah ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Our pranams and thanks to our beloved Dr. Timappa Hegde sir and all the speakers for their wonderful explanations. Thanks Srimati Indumati for your ever perfect and wonderful recitation of today's verses in a melodious voice. Thank you participants for joining us in today's study. Remember to join us again for the 66th session on Friday, 24th December, and continue the study of the 9th chapter, verses from 30 to 34. Friends, on behalf of Param Vedanta, I would like to express a hearty thanks to all of you who have generously contributed to make a collective offering of Guru Dakshina to all our Gurus on the occasion of Gita Jayanti. I am sure that you will agree that it is not only our dharma, but an opportunity to express our gratitude to our Gurus. Do send your voluntary contribution early and update your details on Google Forms using the link provided in the message. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.